day out, marked and let me out the pen. Scrolling through my timeline, lost a couple friends. I ain't even sweating that, I made a couple ends.
Hello and welcome to I Said What I Said with your host, myself, Guap. This is the first episode. It has been a long time coming. It is currently November 5th. And I announced this podcast about 2 months ago. Yeah, I think it was in September. And previously before that, like a year before that, I had been wanting to start a podcast. I had bought this microphone and everything. I actually bought 2 of them because I had anticipated on having guests and stuff like that. But, life got in the way. I think my insecurities kind of got in the way as well. And it put a halt on it. And then when this year came around, I announced it on my Facebook. I had a lot of people looking for it, a lot of people asking. And then where I messed up was announcing it. That's where I messed up. Because once I actually saw that people are looking for it, then I was like, it's like it made me nervous. All of a sudden I was like, oh shit, like people are looking for it. What if I don't have enough to talk about? What if, it just sounds like I'm rambling? What if this and that? But fuck all that. We just gonna go. And like I said, I had a lot of people asking for it, and I just decided I gotta go ahead and just do it, because sometimes I do let my insecurities get the best of me. And I think it's because I have a lot of opinions on a lot of things. I have a lot of dogs and a lot of fight. I'm black, I'm trans, I'm just a lot. I'm a lot. So sometimes I kind of find myself trying to cater to different audiences, whether it be the black community, the trans community, the LGBT, just different things. And sometimes it can get exhausting because I'm worried about pleasing one community over the other, one or this or this. But at the end of the day, I can't get caught up in folk and what they think, because there's always going to be somebody who loves what I got to say, and there's always going to be somebody who hate what I got to say. I can't please everybody. So I eventually just had to go ahead and suck it up and cut on the mic. So I say all that to say, if you are here, I sincerely thank you for listening. I sincerely thank everybody who was even asking or anticipating for it. I really didn't realize people listen to me as much as they do. And I've heard, especially since my transition, I've heard a lot of people, like they'll say like, oh, you should do speaking, or you should, have you ever thought about doing a podcast or YouTube? And I started a YouTube, but I wasn't really consistent with it. And then before Corona hit, I was starting to do some speaking engagements, because that's really what I want to do. Like at the end of the day, I really want to be a content creator. I want to be a speaker. I want to be able to do podcasts and broadcasting and speaking engagements and all that kind of thing. I want my voice to be heard, because I do feel like I'd like to think that, some of the stuff I got to say has some meaning to it. And that's what I just wanted to bring to you guys, especially me being me and having the experiences I have and coming from where I'm coming from. Because I was even talking to, and this was probably a couple months ago when I had first, or probably about a month ago, when I was sitting on it, and I was talking to a friend of mine who I went to school with. She was doing my hair at the time, and I had longer hair. I just cut it, but so yeah. And I was telling her, I'm kind of nervous about doing it. I don't know, what if I don't have enough to talk about, or what if I don't? And she was like, like, you need to do it. Like, people listen to you. She's like, because I'll be honest, before, because our high school was predominantly black. We went to school with a lot of thug niggas, and I got a lot of them on my Facebook timeline, on my timelines, on my social media and stuff like that. And I see how, even they interact with me, and she was like, at first I'm not gonna lie, like I didn't know nothing about, the trans thing. I thought it was weird. I didn't know. Until you started transitioning, and I saw somebody who I personally knew go through it. And then it gave me a different understanding, a different perspective, she's like, so you provide that to, the people that need to hear. You provide a different perspective. You give people a chance to think about things differently and see it a different way, since they know somebody personally. And I really appreciate that. I appreciate how people listen, and I've always felt like I've been very blessed in my transition, and just having the support, even, people I didn't even realize, would be cool with it, or whether I cared about whether they'd be cool with it or not, just the outpouring of love. And I do see that I do get a chance to give people just a different perspective and a different way to look at it, and it's a personal experience, because it's easy to talk about some shit that you've never personally experienced, you know what I'm saying? Or it's easy to have like a biased opinion towards something, but it's not until you get presented with it in your face, and then it's like, oh, okay, well, this might be different than what I thought it was. And so I am thankful that I'm able to give that perspective to anybody, really, you know. And this podcast isn't just going to be about trans things. Like I said, I have a lot of dogs and a lot of fights. I like to just talk about a lot of shit. I see a lot of shit on Twitter, see a lot of shit on my timeline. It's just certain things. I like to talk. I like to talk, and thankfully people like to listen. So anyway, I say all that. I guess that was kind of a introduction as to why I even just wanted to start it. I just want to be able to get my thoughts out. People like to listen. And hopefully the goal is, because I do want to try to have certain segments within my podcast to where it's educational, because at the end of the day, I feel like, and it doesn't have to be deep education, you know, just different things. My whole goal is, I want to say for this podcast, is to speak my mind and to plant seeds. Because at the end of the day, even if somebody will walk away from hearing what I have to say and they might still feel however they feel about whatever topic, at the end of the day, I was still able to plant a seed to where it might not be there consciously, but subconsciously, I've planted that thought. I planted that seed. I put something in your head that was not there before. So there may come a time later on where something is presented, you know, or something clicks, and then it's like, oh, that's what that nigga was talking about. Oh, that's what. Oh, okay. Now I'm starting to connect the dots. There's been plenty of times where a lot of people, especially in my spiritual journey, that's another thing I want to talk about, enlightening on the spirit. We're gonna get into a lot of stuff, but like I was saying, like a lot of things on my spiritual journey, I've ran across people and they've said things, and at the time I'm just like, it went over my head, and I ain't let them know it went over my head, or I might have let them know, but you know, it went over my head. I didn't understand at the time, but later on, certain things would happen, and then it was like, oh, okay, that's what they were talking about. And it's like it instantly popped into my head, and I hadn't been thinking about whatever they had said past the point of when they told me. But once whatever, you know, experience or incident or whatever had to happen, then it would be presented, and then it was like, it would come out of my subconscious and be like, oh, it made the connection. So that's what I'm here to do. I'm just here to plant seeds, make connections, get educated, open up people's minds a little bit, because, excuse me, at the end of the day, we are the generation that is waking up. Excuse my burping. We are the generation that is waking up. We are the generation that are bringing forth new ideals, new mindsets, new ways of doing things, and it's making a lot of people uncomfortable, but that's fine. And I think for a while there, I wanted to just be, because when I first started transition, I came out strong out the gate. I was doing all this talking. But then it came a point where I kind of felt like I wanted to be silent. Or I kind of felt scared. Or I kind of felt like I don't want nobody to judge me. Or I don't know how people gonna feel about that or feel about this. So I just kind of stayed silent. But I've noticed that I wasn't put on this earth to be silent. I wasn't put on this earth not to speak my truth because somebody needs to hear it. And that's the reason why I've gone through all I've gone through. So anyway, I say that to say, yeah. So today, I did want to, and there's a lot of things that I want to touch on, but today, I think I kind of wanted to start this episode off with just kind of, I guess I want to really get into the fear that the black community, specifically black men, have with homosexuality and just LGBT things as a whole. And what brought this to my mind was the whole Lil Nas X and Boosie thing. Like, of course, they've been having really, Boosie been, you know, talking his shit for a long time. And then, so, you know, recently with Lil Nas getting on Instagram Live or whatever and saying, oh yeah, we got a song coming. And then Boosie proceeded to, you know, make all them tweets and go kill yourself and faggot and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And here's my thing. I feel like, and this may not be, where I don't even know where I want to sit. Let me, Okay, my bad. Let me back up. Here's the thing. Geez, I just lost my train of thought. My bad, y'all. Y'all gonna have to bear with me sometimes. I do have ADHD and my mind do be going every which way. Oh, that's what I was gonna say though. But here's the thing. And this may not be the case for this might not be the case in every incident, but in my experience, the guys who are very secure in their sexuality, they are not phased one way or the other, whether somebody's gay, straight, whether they do something. A nigga could even make a pass at them and they can politely be like, hey, I don't get down that way. That ain't my steez. It's cool. And that be that. It doesn't have to be. So I guess for me, his reaction was just so, it was like, damn. Like, even people was like, damn, Boosie, like, I be trying to support your ass, but this one you took a little too far, bro. Like, his reaction to me, it felt like it was a trigger of some sort. So I'm a firm believer that, honestly, he was doing some kind of homosexual shit in jail, which, I mean, isn't far-fetched. You in jail, you ain't got no pussy. That's understandable. Not saying I could understand why somebody would do that. Now that might not be my preference, but that might be the next. That's cool. But and so I feel like, and honestly, I'm just saying, honestly, I feel like deep down the nigga got some kind of homosexual preferences, and he's just afraid to let that shit show, because you have to. He's afraid to let that shit show, and I feel like Lil Nas X touches a button, and for him, he can't handle that button being pressed. And I feel like it's more. I feel like he's more reacting out of fear. It's coming from a fear based. It's coming from a fear based mindset. Hold on, my bad. I got a message. Yeah, I feel like it's coming from a fear based mindset and a fear of him allowed to be really who he would like to be. And I'm not saying he wants to be flamboyant or whatever, but it very well may be that I don't know. Sorry, I'm stumbling over my words. But today I just kind of wanted to kind of touch on homosexuality or really just kind of some LGBT based things and the Black community specifically. And I'm gonna start off. I'm gonna tell y'all a little dilemma that I'm currently going through. So, I'm currently in the process of trying to relocate on my job, figure out what I want to do next, because like I said, I do want to do content creation. I do want to be a speaker. And I fully believe that one day that is going to be able to pay my bills. That's going to be able to boost me and put me in a platform to where I can be able to do other things. But until that comes, and I don't think it'll be too long, but I do feel like that is still within a 2 to 5 year mark. You got to be practical. You have to find something that's gonna put you in the right direction and put money in your pocket and food on your table. And so I currently work for an insurance company. I ain't gonna say which one, but I've been there for the last 6 years, and I've been feeling real stagnant. Been feeling real, it's time to move around. I feel like my spirit guys have been telling me it's time to move around. I just been hanging on to it for a long time. I feel like it served its purpose for what it was supposed to do, but I've been hanging on to it for too long. So I'm in the process of trying to weigh out my options, do different things, and leave. And eventually I'm really not trying to go back to corporate at all. After this, I'm really trying to be done. So anyway, I was talking with my aunt, and she was telling me about my uncle's job in the company that he works for and selling. It's a family-owned, Black-owned, family-owned business, and they sell like Obamacare and stuff like that. And the beauty of it is, it's not. They making money, but it's not traditional corporate. So you can go there, they don't care about you smoking, they don't care about, it's hard work. It's 12-hour days, 7 days a week, but the goal is to work for only a couple months out the year, and then the rest of them you have the time off. And so that's something I'd definitely be interested in. The only thing that has me hung up is the fact that, so whenever you are away for the couple of months, they rent out this Airbnb and they put you up in the complex. So they put all the employees up in there. And so you have to share with probably 2 to 3 other people, within the, I guess your apartment unit, basically. Excuse me. And they pay for everything. They, so all that. So it's a sweet setup deal. I'll be starting off with a little bit more than what I'm making now. Excuse me. Which has been one of the main stresses from this current job. It's not doing enough financially for me and my growing family, what I'm trying to do. But the only thing is, like I said, is you living in close quarters, and I would be with other men, cisgender men. So that part makes me nervous, because it's one thing for me to be at work with you all day, and then I get to go home in my own privacy, in my own space, and be to myself. And then it's another thing when we working all day together, and then I'm going back to living quarters with you. It's little to no privacy, and I just feel like that's too close for comfort, too much in my business, only because of that makes me nervous being a trans male. For one, it's only black people there. So, and that's one of the things that makes me nervous. Black men make me nervous. And that's only because I never really know how they gonna feel about the whole trans thing. Now, luckily, any black men I've come in contact with, who I know, whether I grew up with you or whether they've been accepting. But again, that's accepting, or at least tolerant. And if they weren't, they ain't let me know about it. But again, I think that comes back to that, just having that first-hand experience and being able to see something different. But these are new people. I don't know them, and it's kind of like, I don't want to start off with telling y'all that, because that's not y'all business. But then I don't want us to be found out. But then it's a lot, and I never really know how the attitude that black people have in the black community towards LGBTQ people. It's just it's different. And I've told people before, half the time I feel like, especially as a black male, I feel like I have to fight off, I defend myself against white people, because they see me as a weapon. But then I also feel like I have to defend myself against my own people, because they treat LGBTQ people, as if they're lesser than, or so you fighting one battle one way or another. And so there are a lot of toxic masculine ideals that I don't agree with, and that a lot of people are still caught up in that old mindset, that, you got to be hard, you got to be, it's a lot, and it makes me nervous, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes I get around, especially if I'm not comfortable, if I don't know you, I get around black men, it's like I kind of get quiet. I got to kind of watch you. I don't want to be too comfortable, because any sign of, they feel like any sign of femininity is like a weakness. And I don't know. It makes me severely nervous, but it then leads me to the whole conversation and topic of, really, I feel like black people, especially black men, are intimidated. They're in fear of homosexuality or anything like that. It's like they fear it like it's a disease. And so my question is kind of like, well, where is that fear stemming from, and why? And why is it such a bad thing? I think people get afraid. I think they get afraid of facing their own desires and wants, or they get afraid that their children are going to grow up and be gay or trans or whatever, and that's not what they want for them. That's not what they see for them. That's not what they want. So since it's not falling in line with their dream or whatever they thought it was going to be, it's an issue, and so they don't want that. And so yeah, it's and I often see, it's like I've been seeing a lot lately, because they have been, as you know, it's the whole thing, of course, with like Lil Nas X, and like shows just more showing more representation. And I've been seeing a lot more people complaining about that. It's like, well, every time I look up, on the black shows, they always trying to make niggas gay and somebody kissing and Lil Nas X doing too much and da 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 and da. And it's kind of like, first off, representation matters. And you can't, my whole argument has always been, I can't be afraid that my child is going to turn gay for looking at something when gay folk grew up with straight parents in the household. So if they were obviously seeing straight people, then, and that didn't make them straight, then what makes you think that a straight kid seeing a gay couple is finna make them gay? Like, that's not how it works. And my bad with me. Bear with me if I lose my train of thought. I do have ADHD, so sometimes my mind be going every which way. But yeah, so that they had that fear that their child is gonna be, is gonna do. Damn, my bad. They had this fear. They have fear. I think it's basically fear of themselves, and I feel like a lot of black men have, honestly. And I feel like it's so many dynamics we can get into this, because I feel like it's worse for gay males and trans women, black trans women. I feel like it's because I feel like lesbians and trans men, it's like they get I don't want to say an easier pass, but we do kind of get an easier pass. I feel like people are more accepting of that. But whenever you talk about a man being gay or a cisgender male trying to transition into a woman, then that becomes an issue, and especially black males, or they feel real intimidated by that, or they don't like that, or they have something to say, or that's that's faggot, that's gay, that's this, that's you're not man enough, you're not this, you're not this. It's like, what is being man enough in the first place? And excuse me, let's go back to this. Who told you that being gay was wrong in the first place? Who told you being trans was wrong in the first place? Who told you that this was abnormal? Who told you that? I'm gonna answer who told you. White man, white Jesus, Christianity. That's who all did that shit. I was actually looking when I was trying to do look for information on, just to kind of do some background work for the episode. I ran across actually a lot of interesting facts about like Africa in particular that was like predated to colonialization. And there was a lot of facts. I was like, because like, first off, I'm gonna just read off some of these. I didn't know that there have been tombs in Egypt excavated of two male lovers, wrapped in each other. The ancient Egyptians acknowledged a third gender. They even venerated it, as well as Native American people. Like, they acknowledge two-spirited, or they have their issues with homosexuality as well, but it's the same reasoning because of black people. But they, recognized two-spirited people, or basically people who kind of had the energy of two, not kind of, they have the energy of both genders. And those were their healers, their visionaries, their nannies, their caretakers. They even had a gay monarch, a gay king in, where was it? It was some African country, and it was like in 1835, I want to say. But point blank, like that it was normal back then. It wasn't seen as an abnormal thing. Like, in certain African countries, they would even have men dressed as women amongst their, like, in their concubines of cisgender women. People in Igbo and Yoruba, they didn't even give whenever babies were born, they didn't immediately give them a gender. They would wait until later on in life, and I guess to see whatever energy that child gave. And it's just like in what's known as present day Ghana, when they did assign the gender at birth, it wasn't based off of the anatomy. It was based off of the energy that they felt, or the energy that was presented. So I say all that to say, and I didn't know any of this, and even like with my religion, I practice African traditional spiritual religion. Um, we have what's known as orishas, or like saints, basically black saints, and some of them are portrayed as two-spirited or androgynous or just different. And so I say all that to say this isn't anything new. It's not a new thing. It's not something that just came, recently, or something that we weren't doing. There was always men and women, and that's false. That's false. That's what Christianity has told you was what it was, or what it should be. Because prior to that, they're gonna tell you that, well, it was sinning and this and this and that, and no, like but that was a part of our culture. And I'm not saying that everybody was participating in it, but it wasn't made out to be something that was abnormal. It wasn't made out to be something that was villainized, or like, oh no, we don't want that. No, it was like, if you was a two-spirited motherfucker, you was the shit anyway. You know what I'm saying? It was kind of like people wanted to be revered as that. Or it was an honor to be revered as that. And we just moved so far away from that because once colonization and the fundamentalist Christian attitudes from the British were spread and forced upon our people, we had to leave those old values behind. And I specifically mentioned Native Americans as well, because not all black people are from Africa. There are some of us who were here before Christopher Columbus. We was all in there with the Native Americans as well. We all have that lineage. And so the point is, both of these places and people, communities of people, were colonized. And so colonization equals Christianity. And Christianity is basically what has put these toxic, masculine, traditional ideals and have made them the norm, to the point that they've pushed us so far away from us, our practices, our religious practices, our ways of life, our commitment, our community, our union. They've pushed us so far away from the things that were for us and that were normal and how we operated, and pushed these false ideals into our minds, to the point where people are willing to die by it. They're willing to die behind it. They fully believe this is not what you're supposed to be doing. White Jesus is going to come down and smite you, and that's it. And it's like, that's furthest from true. And it's so, I get how it's very hard to step away from, because when I was first going on my spiritual journey, it was hard for me to even admit that I'm not a Christian. I didn't want to admit that. I was scared I was going to go to hell. I was scared it's a fearful thing to let go of everything that you have been taught, and being rewired to be like, and having the courage to open up your mind to be like, and not be afraid, because Christianity is fear-based. Christianity is very much so fear-based, and that's the whole point. They wanted to instill that fear, instill that division. This is just they wanted to instill, my bad, I was about to go off on the sentence, that they wanted to instill that division so that they could break us down and break us apart and keep us down. And that is what has happened. There are so many things that divide us as a black community, whether it be colorism, whether it be sexuality, we can't agree on any one thing, I feel like, in order for us to come together long enough. And I'm not saying that everybody has to agree with the same thing, because just because you skin folk don't mean you kin folk. But I feel like we should all have the same. It should be no reason why black trans women are feeling endangered by their own people. That should never be an issue. It should be. It's kind of like, everybody. If you black, you black. You're in the community. You're in the community. It shouldn't. I understand we're not gonna all agree on certain things, but it should still be that I can't think of the word I'm trying to say, but it should still be like that fundamental baseline of community and togetherness. Because at the end of the day, we already getting attacked from the white man. We don't need anything else that divides us. But I feel like that's another tool and part of what Christianity was placed here to do, to find different things, and we're gonna pick it apart and we're gonna divide it. And this has become one of the main dividers, I feel like, because it's that toxic it's that toxic mindset, and it's just like I feel like it's gotten to the point where I feel like sorry, my bad, how I'm gonna say this. I feel like it's a lot of, especially black men, especially black hard men, who feel a completely different way, but they're afraid to show it because they don't want to be looked at as weak, or they don't want to be looked at as, a pussy nigga, or just you don't want to. You always have to have on that hard facade. I even do it because I notice how differently I interact whenever I'm around women, because I can be very comfortable. I can let myself be me. But when I'm around dudes, especially dudes I don't really know, you got to keep it more quiet. You can't be as expressive. You can't move your hands as much. You can't do too much talking. You got to just really seem like you're always chill and in control, and you don't have too many emotions, and that's how you have to be. And it's kind of like we have to break out of that. It's okay. I feel like everybody needs to have a fair balance of masculine and feminine energy. It is essential for you to be balanced. It's not, excuse me. Yes, there are going to be people who naturally give off more of a masculine energy, or people who naturally give off more of a feminine energy. But at the end of the day, it should be a healthy balance between the two, no matter which one you operate more out of, if that makes sense. Because to be balanced is to be whole. That's, you know what I'm saying? You're a whole individual. When you find people who are severely imbalanced, you find the men who pop off and they feel like they have to, yell and scream or fight or do it to show that you're a man. And I've even been a victim of that. I with me navigating through my transition, it's hard for me I'm trying to build and grasp my own ideal of what a true man is. And honestly, the ideal that is forming of what a true man is, it's not the one that I've been told of what a man is, especially not by the black community or just by traditional standards, period. Yes, there are certain similarities, there are certain overlaps and things that I see as being a man that, yes, are manly things, but it also involves being vulnerable and embracing your femininity, and it doesn't make you weak or mean that you any less or whatever have you. But I feel like a lot of men, they're afraid to show that, especially a lot of black men. They're afraid to be themselves. That's why you got so many down low niggas. That's why people be joking about, homeboys and thug niggas, they be fucking on each other. They do, because that's what they fucking want to do. But they so afraid to really just let, they niggas know, let the world know, hey, I have a preference for men instead of women. So instead, you have to go around acting like, you that nigga, or you hard, and I'm, busting hoes down and all that. You ain't even got to do all that. You can just be yourself. I got friends right now who, and I don't know why I feel like I'm the secret keeper. Y'all know the crypt keeper? I feel like I'm a secret keeper. Like, and people have always done that. Like, people just be sharing that, and I appreciate when people share whatever they have to share with me, because I feel like it's something about me that you trust that I can keep this. But, I have friends now who they want to be able to be themselves. They want to be able to do different things, or they have certain preferences, but they know if I tell people that shit, especially me being who I am, me being a black man, me coming off the way that I come off, people aren't going to accept that. And it's like, why not? Well, I don't understand why we can't accept each other as a whole all together anyway, because what difference do it make who the fuck you sleeping with or what you got in your bedroom? I don't give a fuck. I'm not sleeping with you. The only person who really matters is who the fuck I'm fucking on. So I just don't understand why people got to be all up in each other's business. But like I said, that's why, going back to, that's why it's a lot of DL niggas. And I honestly feel like what made me kind of want to talk on this topic was the whole Lil Nas X and Boosie thing, and when Boosie was taking it too far. His reaction, I've been feeling like he's a closeted nigga this whole time anyway. He a down low nigga. But his reaction after Lil Nas X said that they had a song coming out, and he was like, oh, go kill yourself and faggot, and the world would be better off. And that's self-hate, sir. That's what you're expressing. You're expressing self-hate. Because ain't no way in the goddamn world, if you really didn't give a fuck about that nigga, you finna even motherfucking, you're not finna react like that. That was a very aggressive reaction to, he act like Lil Nas X said we having an affair together or some shit. Like, I would expect more of a response off of some shit like that. This nigga literally just said we have a song coming out. And Boosie could have replied with, nigga, stop playing with me, that's it. Or something, something like that. Like, but you taking it too far. You having that strong of a reaction. What did that trigger in you, sir? What did that trigger? Huh? And Boosie can't come out as gay. You know what I mean? That nigga would never. He can't come out and say that shit. That's not in the culture. That's not acceptable. That's not, but again, it goes back to why. Why is it not acceptable? Who made it not acceptable? When are we going to break these toxic so-called norms in order to really, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. When are we going to break that cycle? When are we going to start a new pattern? Just because, I say a lot of people say, men are supposed to be with women. That's what we're created for, and da-da-da-da-da. No, that's what the good book, the good white book has told you. That's how it's always supposed to be. But just because we've done something for so long, that does not mean that it's right. Just because you've done something for so goddamn long, that does not mean that it's right. And that's really what I feel like this age of enlightenment is doing. This generation, even though everybody's not fully awake, I still feel like people are getting woken up whether they want to or not. And that's why you hearing a lot of people, why are we accepting this? Why are we doing it? Why we have to, why is that so, we don't need to see that, and da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, you do. You need to be able to see representation of all sides. And it needs to become a normal thing, because it's not, they've made it into something that it wasn't supposed to be. I hear a lot about the gay agenda. And it's a gay agenda. It is. The gay agenda is division. It's not that they've turned something that is something that was normal, and they villainized it, and they turned it into something to make it a divider. So now it's gay black people versus straight black people, or it's gay black men versus the straight black men. And it makes it impossible for us to really just get on one accord, get on one page, and shit, it just makes it impossible. That's it. That's the sentence. I was about to say something, but I don't even know. I lost my train of thought. But that's the sentence. It just makes it impossible for us to get on one page. And if we are unable to get on one page, how are we ever going to really break this systematic racism? How are we ever really going to come to a point where we can really be unified and stand up? Because we could. We really need to start establishing, we've already tried to, especially during Corona and after George Floyd, trying to up our black-owned businesses and different things like that. But we've got to really become more of a inclusive community within ourselves. You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't be. It just shouldn't. So it's like, just open up your mind, and you don't have to be afraid. I feel like a lot of people be so afraid that their children are going to be gay or trans or whatever, not because of any fear that you have for your child, but because of the fear of the judgment that you feel like you're going to receive. And you can't put that burden onto somebody else, especially your child. If this is what your child needs to feel whole and it's something that is natural. I know don't nobody want to hear it. Y'all think natural is cisgender man and woman together. No, sorry, that's not. It is a part of what is natural. My point is, it's all just it's a go with the flow. It's a lot more. That, like I said, that's why so many DL niggas out here now, because they're trying to fight something that is just naturally. If you're gender fluid, that's you. If you ride on the spectrum of sexuality, that's you, and that's fine. It's a spectrum for a reason. People fall on different sides. Some people way over here, when they straight as hell. Some people way over here, they gay as hell. Some people like 69% gay. It's just that's neither here nor there though. It all falls under the umbrella of it's okay, and who gives a fuck. So it's like, if that's what your child needs, man, like, be supportive. Whether they gay, trans, straight, be supportive. That's because you trying to smash their marbles and break their spirit to make them conform into what you feel like is the right ideal, or what white America feels like is the ideal, is not benefiting anybody. If anything, you just causing more generational curses, more generational trauma, more all that. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much all I wanted to say on that. I feel like just be yourself and just be open-minded. And to all the people who I know who are listening, who might feel a way about what I'm saying, or you might disagree, I just want you to sit and just think about it. Just think about the shit that I've said. Think about that seed. Sit in the privacy of your own home or your corridor or whatever you do, and you think about this. Because I know you're not going to want to openly admit that you're thinking about it. I get it. But just have an open mind of maybe things aren't the way that maybe things aren't the way that I think that they are, or the way that I think they should be. Maybe my perspective can be tweaked a little bit. Maybe it can be a little bit more open. Because at the end of the day, we are meant to be openly free-spirited people who are united, who are one, who can move on their own accord. That does not mean we're going to agree on everything, but it does mean that when you really talk about putting the black community first and you talk about unity, it means I'm not here to harm you or to judge you or cast down on you just because you have a different preference than I do. So yeah, and as far as, because I know some people gonna say, well, it's not, you can't reproduce, and do you know how many motherfuckers it is on this earth? We already got too many motherfucking people. That's another reason why I feel like they put Corona on this motherfucker. They trying to wipe some of us out. It's a lot of us. It's too many goddamn people already. And ain't nobody said that gay folk ain't fucking having kids. Like, bruh, it's gay folk adopting kids. It's gay folk having surrogates. It's gay folk, trans people having surrogates. It's nobody's not having babies, bro. Nobody's not reproducing. It's not natural. You can't reproduce. Nobody's not. They finding other ways to reproduce. Nobody's not reproducing. You know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, y'all want to go out here and have a whole bunch of straight normative, heterosexual normative sex, unprotected, and then y'all be having these babies that you, one, can't fucking take care of, or two, you don't fucking want, so then you leave them in the orphanage, which is just teeming with, those are overpopulated as is. So nobody's not reproducing, bro. There's enough people on this earth for y'all to let that lame ass excuse go. Y'all be hanging on to these lame ass theories and not theories. Y'all be hanging on to these lame ass excuses. That's what y'all do. I don't want my kid to be gay. They not. Your kid gonna like what they like. And if they were gay to begin with. They ain't finna be no fucking influence. I'm sorry, ain't no influence finna make me want no dick. I'm sorry. That's not my preference, bro. That's not. And I've seen a lot of shit. Seen a lot of shit in my lifetime. But if you feel like you can be influenced by the shit that you watch, then maybe that's because you niggas been watching some shit and that's what you want. But that's not anybody else's issue but your own. That's something that you need to come to terms with and be real with yourself so that you can be real and live authentically. How about that? So I feel like I'm rambling at this point. So that's basically all I was saying. Just be open-minded. You know what I'm saying? Don't be so hard. Don't make it so uncomfortable for everybody else. It's okay. Like everybody, it's okay. It's gonna be okay. You don't have to. It's gonna be okay. But so yeah. Again, I just want to thank everybody who took the time to listen to this first episode. This is just the first episode, so it is kind of rough. I understand. But just bear with me. It's only gonna get bigger and better from here on out. I do anticipate on having some guests. I'm gonna start doing some ads. So we're gonna have some fun with this. We're gonna have some fun with this. So yeah, if you would like, you can go ahead. You can follow my Instagram, which is Guap, GUVPPA_. You can find me on Facebook, Mo Guap Henderson. I also plan on doing making an Instagram for the podcast solely So I will also put that out on the next episode as well, so you guys can start to follow along, get new episode updates, and as well as give me any kind of feedback, or if you have suggestions on topics that you want to hear about, or even if you want to be a guest, you want to come on and talk, we can talk. We can chop it up, because I really am interested in hearing other people's viewpoints, in real time, because it does feel kind of, I get nervous just kind of sitting here just talking to myself, because I be fumbling over my words, feeling like I'm rambling and my thoughts ain't organized. So I really hope that this was organized for you guys. I really hope that you got something out of it, because at the end of the day, like I said, I do really just want to educate and spread love and spread awareness, and I'm rooting for all my people. Like Issa said, I'm rooting for anybody black. I don't care what you got going on. I'm rooting for black. You know what I'm saying? I'm rooting for good black moral character and unity. That's what I want, regardless of anything else. So yeah, so that is the end of the first episode, and thank you all for tuning in on I Said What I Said with Mo Guai, because I said what I said.
Dancing with the devil in my cup. I know that my girl gon' roll it up. If I call my niggas, then it's up. And I'm still with all my brothers, and we still don't give a fuck. Still got brothers that's on go for me. Don't never think you hoeing me. Hit off in